Hello again. Thanks for joining us. You're with Jason here, Sustainability Property. But today it's the Seer Says, as we end up a year of 2022. One that has had an impact on our lives beyond what many might have witnessed possible, as positivity in global circumstances wanes. And for those that don't know, wane is reduction. Today I'm wanting to not give you forecasts of what 2023 is going to be like, because I've done this already. It's a process that I share in relation to the awareness I wish for other people to share in and to spread in regards to our circumstances, from the convergence of multiple facets of our world, our society, our reliance, becoming more and more challenged, to say the least. But what is it that we can achieve in the process of experiencing this? After all, it's my belief that Earth experience is a school, and it is a school of learning for us to come and participate in. The opportunity for us to engage in ourselves is the heightened state of understanding why we're having the experiences we have. And to the massive disbelief that I have had in my life over the years, the extremes of it, the absolute brilliance and the utter turmoil and despair, they go hand in hand, and they are here to allow me to explore myself, to experience the non-attachment to them. And whether I succeed or not is simply on how I respond to the circumstances that have inflicted on me in the past, triggered me in the past, hurt me in the past, made me forget who I was in the past, maybe forget who I wanted to be in my future. And that is what I would like to discuss today. I live a different life to the many, and have for the ever, which is a valuable asset for me in regards to how I can approach a future. And I give thanks for the belief and trust that I have in the unknown, for the opportunity that I have been able to create from it. There's been much to gain, and in that process we can only take on board things when we have let other things go. And in that there has been much loss, and that is something that I do fear in relation to other people having to experience. And my life has been very much a process of letting go from birth in many ways, and my desire for people not to experience that kind of suffering is paramount. And yet it's that suffering that has taught me the most. It has shown me the most about myself, allowed me to witness the strengths that I have, the fears that I've had, and the fears that I can create in the process of experiencing life, knowing too much, living in the future's past, knowing the future all too well. There is many sides of me that don't need defining, but I could probably do it by showing what it is that I gain my trust in the world from. Knowledge, the occult, esoteric, the depths of ancients, the stars, my culture, animals, the unseen, the unspoken, and the incredible. From tarot to medicine cards, runes, sacred geometry, astrology, lunar cycles, and Druid and Taoist shamanic practices. Practiced before I knew that they were practices, and steering into that as a life has been very natural because of the practice that I've lived and embodied, because of my desires as a sentient being, knowing that I've only ever had myself, and therefore to understand myself is my best outcome from the experiences that I will choose in the future, and how I will choose to see through those experiences, even more to the point. I'm witnessing people in these days come up with the typical influencer information at the last minute, gathering as much as they can from other people and delivering it in a prediction for 2023. And yet the circumstances that we are to experience in 2023, I have been forecasting for over a decade. And I don't know why, but I do know that it has always felt like it has been the answer to the inconsistencies that our lives have created, that the direction that we have been shown has been manipulating us from the beginning, that the intentions behind those that have the power in their hands to never let that go. And the culmination of these principles, along with a very vast education and a broad history in ancestry that has shown me more than what people are being shown today, but for me from a age of prepubescent. So it's a sixth sense for me to experience this world in the way that it's going to become. And while I have heard the turmoil and carnage of the year ahead and the years ahead, I actually resonate with them to be more like home than the contrast to the home that I've desired to create. And for that reason, the apocalyptimist is who he's been defined. Not the focus on the negative, which has been where people's insecurities have been challenged by the aspects that I have brought to the surface in many ways for many years, in many platforms. And my intentions, again, to share, because I care, the preparations that one might choose to engage in whilst navigating a world that is not familiar to them, to be able to make those conclusions themselves. There has been a very broad aspect of spirituality that has overcome the entitlement and privileges of Western societies for the last 20 years, say. However, for 20 years prior to that, I was participating in the experience itself, and given my opportunity to dive deep from the most learned of practitioners has allowed my calmness and the desire to create a stigma around me, or a singularity around me, or a monotony around me, has been overlooked by people that would claim some sense of superiority. And I think it's that superiority that defines the inferiority that is actually what is being projected in the opposite, as projections always occur in the opposite. And we'll find that in many of the angles of people that have woken up in 2020. I'm woke now. And that's great. It's a really good beginning. But influencing from that place is probably more misleading, as this life is a school, and only those that graduate are the ones that will have the outcomes that are last life, you might say. So it's a concern when I hear these influencers discuss the ideas of the Galactic Federation and how they are being fed information in relation to Earth changes, pole shifts, grand solar minimums, as these have been discussed for many years prior to the last minute necessity of feeling important in these times, or feeling of use to the service of people in these times. And the level of preparedness is limited in ways. There are ways to prepare oneself for the changes, and I revert back to decades of discussions with what I would classify the creatives, as I ran and managed and performed at music festivals around our nation and beyond, traveling for decades beyond. The ideas that the system being broken, giving us a chance to define our place in it at a younger age, prior to the reliance of it and on it at a time upon mortgage, debt, children, employment, maintaining these circumstances. It becomes a bit of a don't do as I do, do as I say philosophy, which ultimately might not be the outcome that is a solution for the people that are engaging in this future that we are trying to create for them. I believe there is an opportunity for us to experience this change of life in a way that allows us to engage our higher selves, acceptance, and potential to create what it is that might be required to see it through, without being a victim to the circumstances of the creation of new social norms, such as you'll own nothing and be happy, or 15-minute cities, high-tech implants, AI, job insecurity, utility desire. There are limiting factors in terms of our capacity to keep existing in this dimension without ascending into a self-resilient and more opportunistic state of consciousness. But it takes a forward-thinking trust in the unknown. And the unknown's not unknown to the point. Perhaps the timing of the unknown is what is unknown to the point. But as I can do a video and receive 15 to 20 volcano alerts around the world within a 25-minute period of time, it is a circumstance that raises questions to our possible timeline. We've just experienced Yule and the longest day, shortest night, which ultimately is a time of heat, and yet meteorologically we are experiencing unprecedented extremes in the region that I'm experiencing at this moment. Winds with a pollution to them in the middle of nowhere, from atmospheric pressure that has been applied by quite a significant amount of volcanic activity and tectonic activity in relation to methane releases from the earthquakes themselves, and not even in this region, but the weather patterns and ocean current cycles and everything that comes from that is shifting. Where the man-made environments that we have existed in and ignored our natural world for the better part of 30 to 50 years has become the greatest cost in our household expenses, and yet to rise. So the aspect of sustainability, because that is what I do, is becoming more and more unlikely for the majority. And that's a concern for me. And it's a concern for a long time for me. Now, there are many aspects of how we are going to explore ourselves in a future that's unknown. From various stages of our exploration, and whether we have explored ourselves or whether we have become complacent within our circular lifestyle and reliance upon it. My discussions on this for so long have been what they call triggers for people to attack or remove themselves. Either way, to discuss at length behind my back in relation to the circumstances that I have been able to share, whether it has been all aspects of environment, economics, social norms, ego dissolution, meditation, higher consciousness, music, production, creativity. They've all been what I've been called as triggering, and yet I'm not the trigger, I'm more the entire weapon that has refined his communication in recent years by stepping away from it being the Gemini cusp, Cancer, within less than a degree. It is an opportunity to explore the polarity in which my reactivity and relationship to the reason that I am here on this planet, in this dimension, experiencing the multitude of dimensions, the multiple enlightenments within oneself. My journey for the blessing that I give to those that have challenged my states of consciousness over the years can only be seen as gratitude. One that is a varying stage of sharing and caring to exploring, not ignoring. The journey itself has been an opportunity for me to gather my state of mind and propel it into the future, no matter what mankind would say. And yet there is an opportunity for us all to be able to explore what is given to us in the experience of our journey on this school of life. So 2023, there will be food issues for many. There will be health issues for many. There will be natural scares and unprecedented phenomenons on catastrophic levels for many. There will be disillusionment. There will be the deeper questioning of how we are going to explore ourselves within our chance, within our life, within our friendships, within our families, within our lives. And that is something that we have to give thanks for. This world has an opportunity to evolve. But evolution does not come from without the need for contemplation, without the need for drastic change. Without the need for understanding the beauty on the other side. Think of the butterfly or the moth. Think of the process. Think of the platypus. The ultimate evolution. The ultimate trust throughout all levels of confusion. Think of the insight that the animal kingdom has the connection to nature. Think of how the ants and the spiders and the black cockatoos and the cattle, think of how they all know when the rain comes. Think of how they all know how far away it is or how much there's going to be. Think of how we can read the clouds. Think of how we can reset our minds in relationship to the stars. Think of how we can broadcast our journey from astrology. Think of how we can learn from our relationships for the map as it is as to why we have been given this chance on this planet at this time. For me, it's a privilege to experience the outcomes of life in a deeper understanding, a clearer understanding. And yet, what can be seen as more simple from a spiritual perspective when we understand the simplicity of this worldly experience and how we will progress in relation to that. So I want to leave you with the idea that 2023 and 2024 are going to bring changes to our social structures and our environmental consequences, our financial capacities and our spiritual awakenings that are bound to last for generation and carry on through the generations. With Saturn, the original boundary creator to the solar system, the grandfather of time, the malefic, entering into Pisces, the creator of currency. In fact, Pisces is actually, for any one of you that are rising Pisces like myself, we are the creators and have been the creators through time. We are the end of the zodiac. We are the completion. And if we were in a correct state of calendar, we would recognize our place as the end of the year, but not, as December should only be the 10th month and October should be the 8th. So I'll let you do the math on that. But the chance for us to be able to explore the consequences of Saturn alone entering Pisces would do well to look back through history and witness the economic carnage, the political and social upheaval that occurs when social global depressions engage. And we think that we know from a past perspective of how these times have affected humanity at those times. Do we recognize the aspect of how our dynamics in economics, society and security amongst those facets of our existence have a very shifted dimensional relationship to what it is that we have to share, and what will we have to be able to share as our opportunities to support ourselves diminish? Where will we look to to find the support that we would desire ourselves. Do we look at the shifts in social structures beyond those economic times as the current or previous structures show how they have failed the people? And we see the rise of fascism from a period of time, war, the consequence of it. So as of March 2023, we have 2.5 years of Saturn in Pisces, which is of significant concern. And if you are not financially secure and intelligent during this time, then life becomes very different. At the same time, intriguingly enough, we have Pluto, who has then, since the dawn of microscopes and telescopes, become the actual boundary of the sun. The death and the rebirth, the action and consequence. Pluto is beginning to enter into Aquarius, where the state of humanity and community, technology has thrived throughout time. But what is the death and the rebirth of Pluto entering into that zodiac sign? Well, we could look back through time and witness that as well. And the upheaval is real. So while it will ingress and then retrograde back in and out of Aquarius until mid-2024, we will begin to see the circumstances occurring, creating the changes that will be volatile shifts in the state of humanity. And from that, we become something completely else. Now, Pluto is the slowest moving planet of all because it's the furthest away. It has a 250-year, give or take, rotation around the sun. Therefore, it roughly has about 22 years in each zodiac sign. So we have 22 years of Pluto in Aquarius. And that is going to change humanity in ways that humanity has not created its life to want to change. So the opportunity to engage in that understanding, as rough and tough as it will appear to be, is one that we will either survive or not. And with so many agendas like 21 and 30 broadcast for so long that I've been broadcasting them for longer than many of my watchers and listeners in time have been alive, might very well realize their desired outcomes. So living right now is very valuable and an opportunity for us to give thanks to the exploration that we can experience in it. For many, we have an opportunity to explore ourselves deeper. But that's only going to occur in the silence. not in the noise of comparison. It's only in the hermit, in the one that appreciates their own themselves, that we will find this gratitude of knowing occurring. And I want to give an opportunity now to just be very real, as if this hasn't already been. But the chance for us to engage the hard truths that are upon us, the dark times that are ahead, the exploration of our inner soul, our heightened states, our higher frequencies that transcend the ultimate truth, the fact, not the fallacy of fiction that is created by the exploration of ego spirituality, or the ego economic stability, or the egotistical intentional desires of superficiality. None of that is going to survive, nor was it ever going to. But the vibration that we were shown is that we had only an opportunity to create for ourselves was not what we had in mind when we came to this world. So I recommend addressing your astrology in ways of harsh truths. Explore the dark side of oneself. The further we chase the light, the more of its shadow, and the bigger the shadow we leave behind. So be like the nocturnal. Be like the Black Panther. Be like the possum. Be the animals that see in the dark, that have a capacity to face their fear, because the challenges ahead will bring that to our doorstep. And we can be as prepared as we think we can be in any number of external aspects. But unless we are at home in ourselves, we unfortunately will not find a chance to explore the future. We will not be protected when the time that the great micronova, the great solar bang, because the sun is God, not the stories. And we're seeing it in the southern hemisphere at the moment. Have we noticed how the crops are not growing the way that they have been in years gone by? Did we think about Hunga Tonga and how that volcano created the biggest plume of moisture for the highest level of atmospheric dispersion that our history has seen in any recorded time? And since then, the circumstances of not just moisture, but light, the dimming. So what are the crops that aren't really growing so well at the moment? Actions and consequences. And while it seems easy for me to define in a 40-minute discussion, it's very difficult to swallow the food that won't be there. It's very difficult to swallow the truth that will survive. It's very distasteful to swallow the fact that we have been misled in our lives of superficiality, external attention to details. So I hope, for everyone's sake, that there is an opportunity that life itself can be appreciated in the challenges. Do the worst first. Do all the things you don't want to do first. Allow them to be free of the complexities of our minds, the creations of depression, and the neglect that we have shown them for the decades that we have lived. I'm here for help. I'm here to help. And the opportunity to explore the harsh truth has only ever been the aspect of who has always been known, the doctor of shocker, to tell people what it is that they don't want to hear. Because it's not how we feel in the moment of what was really unknown that only your best friends tell you the truth, but what it is that our future holds for us in the creation of what is life like on the other side of our reason for being in this school of life in the first place. And while we'll see euthanasia become a quite acceptable escapism, having Jupiter in my 12th house shows me that there is only luck in relating it to the higher consciousness. So explore yourselves, as the wind has made my eyes very irritated for very many weeks, as I communicated earlier, the pollutive nature of the skies. It's in disguise, the life that we've been shown. I wish us all the greatest of harmony and opportunities to explore ourselves in the most fundamental of spiritual acceptances. And in that, I bid you well. Share any of your thoughts. Share any of this podcast. Share your experiences. We are one, and that is one thing that we have been told to forget. Much love.